Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my reading wrap up for the month of October. First up, I read Mind to Promise, or I didn't actually read this, I listened to the audiobook. I recommend the audiobook. Mind to Promise is like the 7th book in an interconnected standalone series. I haven't read the other ones. I might in the future, I'm not sure. I got my hands on the audiobook of this one and this just recently came out and I actually really enjoyed it. It was like a single mom second chance romance. He was the dad. Okay, it's not like a second chance and she's like has somebody else's baby. Like, he didn't know he had a kid. So there was that whole scene where he's like, is she mine? And she's like, mm-hmm. And he's like, I'm a dad. And then you know what this man does? He steps it into high gear and he provides and he does what he needs to do to be a good father, but not overstep, because he hasn't been in this child's life for like 5 years. If you want to read about just a beautiful man who genuinely cares and takes care of his people, this is the book. It was very wholesome. I don't believe there was a third act breakup, or if there was, it wasn't anything crazy. Then I read Fear Me, Love Me. This cover is a jump scare. Same with this book. Someone recommended me this book on Instagram. I can't remember her Instagram handle for the life of me. I read it. I don't think the book was for me, but that's because I have a hard time with the breeding kink used anywhere other than Ice Planet Barbarians. But if you're a dark romance reader, give it a shot. You might enjoy it. It was crazy. Thank you to the person who recommended it to me. If you recommend me a book, more often than not, I'm gonna read it. And if I have nothing going on, I'll probably read it immediately. I read Wildfire by Hannah Grace this month. This is the 2nd book in Maple Hills series. I believe that's the name of the series. I liked this book, didn't love this book. I had so much fun while reading this book. My biggest issue with it is it was at a camp setting, and I read this book in a vlog, so you can go watch this if you want my full thoughts on it. Me and the camp setting aren't friends. We're not. I've said that before. I'll say it again if I ever read a book at a camp setting. It's not for me. I did really love the characters though, and I did love the cameos of all of the people from the 1st book, and I'm excited for the 3rd book, which if you follow me on Instagram and TikTok, I've talked about it a little bit. We have found out that the 3rd book is going to be about Henry, and if you don't know who Henry is, you need to read Icebreaker. If not for the main characters, just for Henry, because he's a perfect specimen of a man. Fictional man. We're probably getting out of order here, but it's okay. I read What Saves Us this month, also in a video. It's been like a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks since I read this book, and I still think it's a 5-star read. I loved it so much. This was a single mom. I went into this book thinking she was gonna have the baby already. Like, it's gonna be like, she's gonna have a child. No, she's pregnant at the start of the book, and then she has said baby, and then she falls in love after having said baby with Shane, who is like another perfect specimen of a man. Other than the fact that he says mama a little too much in that book, that's like the one fatal flaw. He like calls her mama. She is a mama, but like, also let's use her name. Someone counted and like commented it on one of my videos over 100 times at least. Sinful Vow, I also read in the same video as What Saves Us. This is a mafia romance. I don't know if I'm gonna continue the series. I might when I get back on like a mafia kick. It was fun and very engaging for like a mafia romance. I did love how the FMC in this book was such a badass and could handle her own. And if anything, she was like more powerful and stronger than the MMC. Even though he could also handle his own, she was like more of a badass. It just makes me feel like strong and powerful when you read about a strong and powerful woman, you know? Charming your dad. This is exactly what it sounds like. She was charming, not your dad, a dad. Her ex-boyfriend's dad, to be specific. I am never, or not normally, someone who likes books where the FMC dates a guy and then he like treats her very and she goes after his dad. I love to joke and be like, just go for his dad. But I've never found a book that I've read and I've been like, that was a great decision until this one. This was a demon romance. Her ex-boyfriend doesn't even know that his dad is a demon. He like comes back to the world to like pop back into his son's life because he was a deadbeat dad. He was never like there for his kid. Longer story. Don't let that deter you from the book. There's a story there. And when he comes back, she recently like broke up with the guy and she's like, I'm gonna go after his dad. And she's also a witch. So it's like a witch and a demon mix, and she's like, what are you? And he's like, what are you? And it just works. Then I read Hopeless by Elsie Silver. When I was in LA last week, I went and hung out or went to dinner with Taylor's book club, and they were talking about Hopeless, and they were also talking about Caught Up. With Hopeless, a few of them didn't necessarily love this book, and they had some really good points as to why they had issues with this book and didn't love it. Every single one of their points were valid, and what I said to them is what I'm gonna say to you. The points people make about this book, about how it wasn't it, valid, but I don't give a shit. I frankly don't care. And I'm gonna overlook every single valid point. Bo Eaton is like 3rd on my Eaton brothers list, including Theo. What's Theo's last name? Salva? I wanna say Saliva. It's not Saliva. Bo is like 3rd. If you have a bad thing to say about this book, say it. Speak your truth. You're probably right. But I don't care. The two main characters in this book, Bo and Bailey. Bo and Bailey. They sound like 2 dogs. Bo is like tortured hero coming back to his hometown, and Bailey has lived in the hometown all of her life. And because of her last name and the family that she comes from, nobody likes her and nobody really treats her with respect. The Eatons, we know if you've read the series, that family as a whole, they're like town royalty. And so Bo and her make a deal, or kind of make this, what's it called? It's not a deal. Is it kind of a bet? I don't know if it's a bet, but they make this plan to get fake engaged so that she will be looked at in a different light from the people of the town, and then he will get his family off his back, because again, he's kind of like a tortured hero and his family wants to like pry into him, and he's like, leave me alone. So he thinks this will make them leave him alone, but all it makes him do is fall in love with Bailey. Caught Up by Liz Tomforde, 3rd book in the Windy City series. The more I think about this book, the more I become annoyed with how like repetitive it was. I loved the characters so dearly. I loved the overall storyline. Again, I don't think this book needed to be 500 pages. The two main characters are Kai and Miller. Kai is a baseball player, single dad, gives very much Clark Kent vibes. Miller is his coach's daughter, who is kind of like taking a break from being a chef or being a pastry chef, and she nannies his kid. We love a good nanny. We love a good single dad. Next, I read Grimstone by Sophie Lark. I don't know if I rated this book in the video when I read it, but I ended up giving this book like 3 stars. That could change next year when the 2nd book in this interconnected series comes out. This wasn't a favorite of mine by Sophie Lark. I did really like the spooky vibes that this town, Grimstone, really gave. This is a dark romance, so I still stand by, like, I feel like the two main characters needed a little bit more of a connection other than just like they understand each other. But overall, I like the plot twist in this book a lot. It did get me. The last book that I read in the month of October was my book club's pick for this month, and that was A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon. This is the book where she tries to summon Flower and she accidentally summons a demon. She's not that good with witchcraft. I gave this book 3 stars. I didn't love it. I thought it was cute. I kind of struggled to finish it because I was kind of getting like over it. I just needed it to be done. I did love how the demon, he was such a sassy man and his emotions were kind of all over the place for a specific reason. But his sass, I mean, it was just like the sassy man apocalypse, and I was here for it. Oh my gosh, wait, no, that's not all the books. I also read How Does It Feel? Duh! I just posted a video about this. I also read How Does It Feel with my friend Taylor when I was visiting her in LA. Faye meets Allie Hazelwood. This book was truly enemies to lovers, and I didn't love it because I felt like the connection between the two main characters, while it felt underdeveloped, it kind of made sense by the end why it was underdeveloped, but I still didn't care for it at all. I said in this video, I understand how people appreciate the plot twist. It was crazy. The plot twist was so out of left field, it kind of made sense, but at the same time you're like, why did you do that to me? And those are all the books that I read in the month of October. If you read any of these books, or if you've read any of these books, give me your thoughts. I always love talking about books with you guys. And I will see you guys next week.